Hello, Facebook Live, and welcome to the Illini Insider, driven by Nissan. I'm Jory Perry's alongside none other than our athletic director, Josh Whitman, who will be joining us for the next 5 sessions on Thursday to answer sent-in questions by our fans. Before we start with those questions today, Josh, I'll give you the floor for a little introduction and just update on what you've been up to.
Well, it's been a great fall for us. Of course, came on the job in March and have been busy ever since, and I hope our fans have had a chance to watch some of our sports this fall. Our student athletes are doing a great job. Volleyball's off to a great start. Soccer's having a nice season. Of course, football's in the midst of building something that we feel really strongly about. So it's been an exciting few months for me personally, and feel really positive about the direction the program's headed.
Absolutely, and you just came from Rutgers this past weekend with the football team. How was that win?
It was pretty exciting. The road trips are fun regardless, but when you get on the airplane and you're on your way home after a big win, there's not a better feeling than that. And so it's exciting to get on the road, and any time you can win a game in the Big Ten, whether it's at home or on the road, it's a big accomplishment. And for us to get there and get the win and get home was a really positive step for the program.
Right, and every time that we can use the hashtag #WeWillWin, it's just a little bit sweeter. So to start in with our first question, it is from William in Joliet, Illinois, and he asks you, will you build a new baseball facility or just renovate the present one?
That's a great question, and first of all, thanks for the question. But the baseball facility is one that is certainly needing attention. It's one of several facilities that we've looked at here over the last several months to try and come up with our priority list, and we're not prepared yet to talk about where it falls on the priority list. But there are parts of our baseball facility that are great. Our playing surface, for example, we added the artificial surface not too long ago, and it's been a really great area for our players to compete. The locker room is in great shape. We did a nice renovation of that a few years back. The stands, the fan amenities, the press box are not where they need to be. So eventually, when we are able to start the project, I think it'll be a combination. There will be some renovation and some tear down and start over. And the fan amenities, the back part of the stadium probably would be a tear down and start over.
Great. We will go on to the second question then. This one is from Michonne from Monticello, Illinois, and they ask, what are your favorite professional sports teams?
Favorite professional sports teams? Well, I grew up a Cincinnati Reds fan. So I'm one of the outliers here in Central Illinois. Seems like everybody's either a Cards or a Cubs, and I grew up cheering for the Reds. They haven't given me a lot to cheer for a while now. So I did, of course, spend some time in St. Louis. It's hard to be in St. Louis and not start to root for the Cards a bit. So I just like seeing good, well-run professional sports organizations, which is, I think, what draws me to the Cardinals. But I also have enjoyed watching the Cubs. And then in football, I've got a lot of friends who are still involved with the New Orleans Saints organization, so I'd find myself rooting for them. And then same kind of thing. I lived in Wisconsin for 4 years, and it's really hard to be in Wisconsin for that long and not at least start paying some attention to the Packers. And so I enjoy seeing them do well also.
Well, we'll make sure not to tell Lovey that too loudly, right? And you mentioned St. Louis. This next question is actually about Missouri. It is from Nicholas from St. Louis, and he says that you spend a lot of time there, so he knows you a little bit.
Good.
What are your plans to increase the Illini presence there?
Well, I think we do have an opportunity in St. Louis now with the departure of the Rams to try and capture a bigger share of that market and gain more interest from the community down in that part of the state and of the country. And so it's a number of things we've already been doing. I think the bragging rights game is unbelievably well received. People really enjoy that game. It's something that a lot of folks down in that part start to circle on their calendars. You're starting to see more recruiting success down in that part also. I think that both in football and basketball, we're getting a lot more players to come up to Champaign from St. Louis, East St. Louis, the Belleville area. And so I hope that creates a natural connection with that part of the country as well. So there are some things, and then I think you'll see our presence increase there in terms of our physical presence. I'll be down in St. Louis more than maybe I have been able to these last few months, and our fundraisers, our coaches are going to be in the St. Louis area more frequently than maybe they have been over the last period of years. So we're looking forward to that. And then if the opportunity is there for us to play some football down there, it's something that we're not opposed to considering. Anytime we take a football game off site, we have to be sure it makes sense for us to take a game from Memorial Stadium down into the St. Louis market. But it's the same kind of consideration that we go through as we talk about the Chicago analysis and playing football in Soldier Field. So certainly something worth considering, but nothing concrete to talk about yet.
And next up, we have from William here in Urbana. When will hockey finally be a recognized Illinois sport? I know this is a tough one.
I get asked about hockey a lot. There are a lot of really big hockey fans in this state, certainly, and a lot of folks have grown up in the Chicagoland area cheering for the Blackhawks, and so very understandable. I don't know that hockey's in our immediate plans. I think that our sport module, the sports that we offer at the varsity level, is one of the biggest considerations that we have, and one of the biggest decisions that I have to make as the athletic director. And a lot of moving parts when it comes to that analysis in terms of certainly the finances are hugely important, the facilities, and then the equity considerations and the Title IX concerns that might arise anytime we were to consider adding a men's sport. So a lot of things that go with hockey. Penn State added hockey a few years back very successfully. It helped that they got a $100 million gift from a donor to help advance the cause, and they were able to build a new facility and field the program both in men's and women's. So I think it's a really interesting concept. It's very complicated, and one that is a part of our analysis, but nothing that I see happening in the immediate future. It would be difficult. We have so many needs right now as a program, particularly on the facility side. You mentioned baseball earlier, soccer, track and field. The list goes on and on of the facilities that need improved. And for me to walk into a coaches meeting and say, look, I know all of you have these needs, but we're going to take this 30 or 40 or 50 or $100 million and invest it into a program that doesn't exist yet, would be a really difficult thing for me to do, and not something that I'm prepared to do right now. So I think we could have great success in hockey. I think we could generate a lot of revenue through hockey. But at the end of the day, there's a very significant startup cost that comes with hockey that would be hard for us to consider at this point.
Lastly, on the topic of baseball, Cleveland's on their way to the World Series. Obviously, the NLCS is still happening right now. I think Illini Nation would love to know your interpretation of what's going to happen.
My interpretation? Well, it's interesting. I think it could be a really fun series if Chicago and Cleveland meet in the World Series. Somebody's going to win who hasn't won in a really long time, and that's pretty exciting, I think, for the game of baseball. And so I'm looking forward to it. I would love to see that outcome. I'd love to see the Cubs and the Indians in this series. It would be anytime somebody can get a chance to hoist the trophy who hasn't done it in an awfully long time, you can feel good about that, and I think it's great for the sport. So, and it would be fun to be in the state of Illinois, to spend as much time as we do up in Chicago, and to see the Cubs reach that point and maybe even bring home the hardware would be pretty cool.
Absolutely. Well, Josh, that is all I have for you today. So, Illini fans, make sure that you return to see us on Illini Insider, driven by Nissan, and thanks so much for joining us today.